Hello and welcome to the IndieCommerce video documentation on adding images to Drupal content. Keep in mind this information is intended to be used in conjunction with the written documentation found in the IndieCommerce Help Center on bookweb.org. Just navigate over to bookweb.org. In the top green menu bar, go to e-commerce and ebooks, IndieCommerce, and IC Help Center. In this video, we'll look at adding images to your content. This would include pages, book pages, events, blocks, and any other content that utilizes the WYSIWYG editor. In this case, we'll be adding a logo to the store info block on the home page, right here. Before we get started, there are a couple of things that you should take note of. First, if you're going to be uploading images, you'll want to have those images saved on your hard drive. A lot of stores tend to find images online and then right-click on them and copy the link location, but this is not the best approach. The problem here is that this will create a link that goes out of your site and tries to pull the image back into your site. This makes your site dependent on someone else keeping the image exactly where you found it. But as we all know, images can easily be moved or removed from other sites, and if that happens, the link on your site will fail and the image will no longer be posted on your site. It's also worth pointing out that a link that pulls content onto your site can be seen as a security risk by a user's browser. ABA works diligently to ensure the security of all of our member sites, but a single block with a link to an outside image posted on a secure page, such as the login page or a checkout page, can cause a browser to warn the user that the site appears to be insecure. You'll also want to make sure that the images you're using are saved at or close to the dimensions that you'll be using on the site. It is possible to upload a very large image file and cause it to appear small, but a user's browser will still need to load the large file, even if just to post a 1-inch square image, and this can make the site appear very slow. Similarly, you can upload a small image and try to enlarge it, but this will generally result in a blurry or pixelated image. So let's upload an image. Since we'll be adding an image to the store info block, we'll need to access that block's edit mode. For a block, you can hover over the block. You'll see a little pop-out gear. Hover over the gear and then click Configure Block. You can also go to Structure and Blocks, and from the block administration page, you can click the Configure link next to the block in question. If you were adding an image to an existing page or an event, you would need to visit the page and click the Edit tab. Once you get to the edit mode for the block or the page, you'll want to put your cursor in the body field, wherever it is that you want your image to appear. In this case, I want my image to appear above the text. When I put my cursor in, it's right in line with the text, so I'm going to click Enter and then put my cursor up, and now my image will be above the text. Now, find the Image button in the WYSIWYG tools. This little button looks like a photograph of a couple of mountains. This will open the first of 3 pop-up windows. This window asks you for a URL for the image, but if you're like most people, you probably don't know this information off the top of your head, so we click the Browse Server button. This opens the second of 3 pop-up windows. This is a directory of all the images that have already been uploaded to the site. If the image you want to use is already here, all you need to do is click on it. This highlights the image file and shows you a preview of the image at the bottom. If this was the image I wanted to use, I would just click Insert File and it would drop it back into the first pop-up window. But the image that I want to use is not listed here already. So, from here, I need to click the Upload button at the top left of this window, and then click Browse under File. This opens the third pop-up window. This is a directory into my own hard drive. In this case, the image I'm looking for is on my desktop, so I just click on it and then click Open. You can also double-click on the image itself. This brings us back to the second pop-up window with the file name listed. Here, I click Upload. This uploads the image into the site and highlights the file right here. As long as the file is highlighted and the image is the one that I want, now I can click Insert File. This closes the second pop-up and brings us back to the first one. From here, now that I have the file name, the file location in the window, I can click OK, and this image would be added. But there are a couple of other things that I can do here. First of all, I can change the width and the height. As I mentioned before, you do want to upload these images at or close to the dimensions that you're going to be using on the site. The more you use this tool here, the more distorted your image might become. Again, you don't want to be uploading an enormous file and showing a tiny picture, or vice versa. The border field will allow you to add a little black border around the image. If I put 5, it'll try to add a little 5-pixel black border around my image. This image is already black, but has a little white line down the side. This really isn't appropriate for this particular image, but it can be used on pretty much any image. So in this case, I'll take that border out. The H space, horizontal space, and the V, or vertical space, allow you to add empty white space around the image itself. That way, if you have text along with the image, the text does not butt right up against the image itself. So putting a little buffer of 5 pixels of white space vertically and horizontally keeps the picture separated from the text. Under alignment, I can choose to align the image to the left or to the right, and any accompanying text will be wrapped around the image appropriately. In this case, my image is going to be floating at the top of the text, so I don't really need to set the alignment here. In fact, I'm going to center everything when I'm done. Assuming this is all how I want it to be, I just click OK. And there is my image with my text below it. Now, as it turns out, my logo already says Cascado Books, so I'm going to make this block a little smaller. I'm going to remove the actual name of the store here, and I'm going to let the logo speak for itself. Now, what I can do is highlight everything. So if I click my cursor and drag, I can highlight all the image and the text, and then use my justification or aligning buttons here. In this case, I want to justify everything to the center. Assuming this is how I want my block to appear, I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom, and I'm going to click Save Block. And that brings us back to the home page, where you can see my image, my logo, at the top of my store information block. I can also add a link to that image, so that when I click on it, it automatically brings me back to the home page. So again, we can go back in to configure the block. And in this case, what I'm going to do is just click on the image itself, which will highlight it. And then I click the link button. It looks like a little piece of chain link. Here, I don't want an internal path. In this case, I'm going to be using a URL. It's going to be http:// and my home page, of course, is here. I'm going to click OK. And then again, at the very bottom, I'll click Save. And now I have a logo that will take me back to my home page. And that's pretty much the nuts and bolts of adding images to your content.